Hi, it's Suzanne here, and today I'm going to do a video about UI designer. Who are UI designer and what you need to be a UI designer. Who am I? I have 7 years of experience as a UI UX designer. Or product designer. I worked in different countries. I got the chance to work in different countries. So first I started working in Dubai, and I worked as a design manager there in Middle Eastern market. And then I moved to Copenhagen. I worked there as a design manager as well, but what I was doing is UI UX basically, and some codes as well. And now I'm in the UK, and I'm working as a digital designer, and I do UI UX both. So today I'm going to talk about how you can be a UI designer, who are UI designers, and what do you need to know to be a UI designer. So UI designer, UI something is user interface, and the people who design interfaces, for example, buttons, radio buttons, any kind of interface. So mostly people who design web, they call themselves a UI designer, but this is not the only field, or this is not the only product interface designer would do. It could be designing a screen for TVs, it could be designing a screen for signages are those we see in hotels, in universities, and in hospitals for direction sometimes. So sometimes we see some screens in the hospital, and we interact a bit with it, and it has an interface. We read some information. It's a very simple interface, and that's also UI designer who do that. Mostly one of the most famous field for UI designer is web designing. So web designer call themselves UI designer as well. So graphic designer, for example, can be a UI designer, but it's all about the mindset. So when you are a graphic designer, you do work for print media, and for print media you may be designing brochures, you may be designing signages, billboards, whatever, but you are using the same tool, but it's not interactive, and probably you're looking at some different discipline. Maybe design disciplines are the same, looking at alignment and stuff like this. I don't want to get into the technical detail. That would be another video. I want to make it very overview of UI designer. So the graphic designers can be a UI designers, but if they start to think in terms of interaction, how the product would interact. So you don't have to design interaction, but you have to keep in mind that how I want this button to look at this kind of background, and that's how UI designer, user interface designer, thinks. What do you need to know to be a UI designer? It's always good to keep updating yourself in terms of new tools. We have constantly having a new tools. When I started, it was only Photoshop. Now we have numbers of tools to design interfaces. So some of them are Sketch, Adobe Creative Suite. So you do whatever tools you use. It's all about creativity and thinking creatively. That's what UI designer basically do. In terms of like how much you need to know in terms of other disciplines, it's always good to know a bit about UX, a bit about coding. I will not say front end, but a bit about HTML and CSS, but you don't have to know in details. So obviously, as a UI designer, you sit in between the UX and front end, and you are kind of a bridge in between that. So you are going to interact with the UXers and front end engineers. So you need to have a bit of overview of that field, because then you are able to understand them and you're able to communicate in a cross-functional team. So it does help, but you don't have to know everything. For example, for me, I know heavily about UX because I work as a UX and UI designer. I have a background in the coding like HTML and CSS, so I can code as well, but I don't do JavaScripting. So you don't have to know this. It's always plus to know this, but my advice would be, if you're starting out new and you're new, concentrate on one thing, become better at what you do at the moment, and just pick what you want to do or what you're passionate about. If you're passionate about UI, then concentrate on creativity, because tools could be different by the time, if you're starting now, 5 years from now it could be completely different tools maybe, but you can adapt to tools, but you cannot adapt to creativity. So that's what you're going to learn by the time. Creativity is the most important thing, and that's why you're getting paid from the company. So yeah, as if you're starting it now, my advice would be for you, practice UI as much as you can. Maybe go to Dribbles and some other websites. One of them are Behance, Pinterest. Look at the UI design. If you're a graphic designer, want to be a UI designer, you're already like halfway there, because you know the tools. You don't have to learn the tools, but you have to just think like a UI designer, and go to this website, look at lots of design for inspiration, and just don't limit yourself to only to websites. Maybe look at different, for example, TV screens. Sky, for instance, it's a very simple interface, but someone has designed it, and probably they paid a lot of money for this, and simple designs are very hard to do. So anyway, you can look at a lot of different channels for UI, for example, signages, TVs, website, and yeah, start following them and try to design something. Imagine that you have a project and you're designing for it, and yeah, and you build your skills on top of it. So that's enough, I guess, for today. I will do my next video related to UX. If you like this video, please click the like button so I would know that you like what I'm doing. I hope this video is helpful for you, and keep working hard. Thank you. Bye.